Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be going through EX2 of the 3rd anniversary beatdown battle for the Divine Generals team. This is located in the event menu under beatdown battle. And this is how you acquire half of the dupes of GAZEL, and then you will get the currency from beating these stages to go buy the other half dupes of GAZEL. So EX2 is really what people should be aiming for as far as completing units. The Inferno stages are not free-to-play friendly. I mean, she has like 18 million HP, so unless you have the new meta, like it's pretty out of reach for you. But they have made this stage in particular pretty friendly overall. Because while she does have 1.3 million HP, there are a lot of EX teams that can do that, even type neutral. So she is giving herself resistance against ults and physical attacks for 5 turns. That will run out on turn, I think, 7 or something, and then you can hit her with anything. She does seal body and spirit skills, so healing, Drago skills, vengeance skills, not really going to be that useful. Stuns you can't use until turn 10. She nerfs blues by 50%, but as I'm going to show you over this entire video series, not really that big of a deal. Does have crit resistance until turn 7, which means that for the first most of the fight, you don't want to crit. But then on the actual like nuke turns where you normally would nuke, you're going to be able to hit her with anything. And then she heals herself and can cleanse off some debuffs. So overall, she does have a lot of HP, but I have a lot of different teams to show you. Like, a lot. Like, 3 videos worth of teams to show you guys that can clear this stage. And while it's a lot of teams, it's not every single option available because I can only make so many teams and so many units. I can't individually build teams for people's individual boxes. So please take this video and the following videos in this series as just a very basic guide as to what you should be looking for, and swap in units that as you see fit. If you have some of the meta but you have to replace some, then like be my guest. This video is not going to answer every single question. It's just to be informative and show you guys what other teams can do in this stage. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in with the first team, which is the meta. Alright, we're going to go real fast through these because we got a lot of teams. First team up is the meta team, the new Amicia, free-to-play GAZEL, Diablo, Raphael. We're going to bring free-to-play Isis to be our turn 1 converter, and then for our alt swapper, we're going to bring the Light-Masked Hero. There's only 3 options on this in the game for alt swapping for greens right now, and that's her, Idol Shuna, and Overlord Shizu. And if you don't have Shizu, then that really sucks. But turn 1, this is why we brought Isis, so she can convert turn 1, and we can use the Diablo green buff because it's literally free. So it gives us the 50% gauge increase. We'll bring Raphael in, use his first stack of the synergy power and alt damage, and then we simply just orb change for the next 7 turns. And we hold on to our nukes. We got really lucky on turn 2. We can just use Isis orb change again. We can reset her and do it. We also do need to use GAZEL a few times, so we could just bring GAZEL in and change those instead, which is what we're going to do. So because GAZEL gives us the 30% extra skill point permanently every single time we use his orb change, in order to get up to like the 450 point cap by turn 8, we're going to need to use him a lot. So resetting him, resetting Raphael, and using his buffs all the friggin' time is how we're going to get a lot of points and get a lot of damage out of this team. Even though we're not running like a true big-time damage optimization team, because you could bring Overlord Shizu, who's got a triple alt swap and the weakness strike and the alt resistance down. You could bring Visions of Coleus Violet for the big-time magic buff. You could bring the Masked Hero for the rewind, which gives you another turn of stacking, and the crit buff, which on turn 8, you can crit. So this is all good and fine and dandy, but the goal of this entire thing is to use a lot of skills a butt ton of times. So we're constantly using GAZEL's orb change, we're constantly using Raphael's stack buff, and now that we have 2 alts, we kind of need to send someone away. So we'll bring Isis in, And then we're just going to send these ults, because I'm not really worried about stuff right now. And alt swapping, I don't want it to get so expensive that I can only alt swap like once or twice, because eventually we're going to have 3 alts. So we sent this because Milim has a resistance, and you can see that we're still doing really good damage to her. So it's not going to take us very long to build up because of how many greens we're sending, and the extra alt gauge we're getting on the enamor effect that Elmisia is putting on every single time we use her. 25% alt gauge every turn, essentially. So it doesn't take long to get back to an EX alt. So we're going to alt swap away here. We already did that. Let's get more stacks in. Let's use more orb changes, and let's continue to send orbs. So I'm going to cut ahead to the nuke turn, because we don't need to sit here for 3 more turns and watch this happen. So give me a minute. Okay. So here we are on turn 7. She's literally 1 hit away from dying, and this is not because I nuked. It's just because this team is getting a lot of power. And we have the 100% extra damage increase. We're constantly getting more extra alt damage, and we did 12 million on that nuke. It was not hard. We did it a turn early, technically, because turn 8 is generally the nuke turn for stacking teams like that. So, yeah. EX2 not really holding up to a fairly well-built meta team. We do a lot of damage, and we continue to do more and more with the stacks of Elmisia and everything. So that's not very hard. It's pretty simple to do. You can substitute a lot of these units in and out, and you'll still be just fine. But let's move on. Alright, let's say you got really unlucky, and you didn't pull anyone new. Well, Dark Veldora, from the first anniversary, is a stacking green protector who raises your skill cap and resets skills. We've got Space Milim, who is a single target space unit, who has her own buffs. We can't use her Drago buff, unfortunately, because it's sealed, but she still has a magic buff, and if she's skill fused, you get, or she still has her space buff, and if she's skill fused, you get a magic buff of 30%, but Veldora is giving 70% when he's capped out, so it doesn't matter if Milim is skill fused, because Veldora is going to give you more than what her skill fusion is. Again, Isis for the orb change. We brought Protector of Peace Geld to help us give extra SP on green orbs. And then we've brought first anniversary Milim, green orb changer, alt buffer. This works. And then we've brought Idol Shuna as one of the other alt swapping characters, and able to give synergy and synergy power to magic allies. So, I mean, it's a decent team, and because the stage does not have the most amount of HP, this is still a team that can get the job done. It's not going to do it in 7 turns like we just saw with the actual meta team. It's going to take a bit longer, and your nuke isn't going to do 12 million damage. But if you just need to clear this fight with everyone alive to get the dupes of GAZEL, to get the rewards and get the mission done, then this will certainly do the job for you. And it's really not that hard, and it's going to run essentially the same. You don't have to use nearly as many skills to get it done, right? But we don't have the ability to use multiple skills every single turn, so this run is actually probably a bit faster, because I don't have to keep clicking on the stupid Raphael buff and activate, Raphael buff, activate, Raphael buff, activate over and over and over again. But we do have orb changers. Geld can change his own orbs on this team. Nobody else's, because he only changes Protector of Peace orbs, and no one else on this team is Protector of Peace. And then Isis, again, turn 1 convert the green buff. Geld's other skill is giving extra skill points to green orbs, so we will definitely take advantage of that. And then we're just going to send a whole butt ton of orbs. And here, I mean, it's pretty much a free hand. So I think we still convert anyways, just to get us more greens. So yeah. Boom. Milim at this point is not skill fused, so she's still only changing 1 orange and 1 blue, specifically. If she was skill fused, she'd be able to change any 2 orbs, whether it be 2 oranges or 2 blues, and they would become greens. But let's go ahead and continue to use the other skills from Geld to give us extra skill points, because as our cap goes higher, we're going to need more skill points. Thankfully, this team is not super skill point intensive. We don't have that many big time skills, like they're all 55 points. And every single time you use a skill, Veldora gets 5% extra magic attack, up to a cap of 70. So you do actually want to use a lot of skills. Is Milim actually skill fused here? Details? No, I don't think she is, because otherwise we wouldn't have had to do that. So Geld changed his own orb because we brought him in, and now we'll bring Milim in for probably Geld or Shuna. That works too. And we'll use her convert. Boom. We're going to go ahead and buff up a little bit just to do some extra damage. It's still turn 4, so the enemy Milim still has a bunch of ult resistance, so this isn't going to do that much. But it is chip damage, and I don't really feel like storing ults, because none of these characters, apart from Shuna, are EX units. They don't need double ult bars. We just need one, and we're going to get it again anyways, so that's why. Because every time we send an ult instead of a green orb, it doesn't give us as much protection gauge, it doesn't give us as much skill points. So, for like this team specifically, just send them. You'll do chip damage, and eventually by turn 8, you will have an ult, and you will be buffed up, and you will be able to kill. So, oh my god, look, more orb changing. Alright, we're checking, make sure the green buff is still active, that we're getting skill points on this, and let's go ahead and continue sending. You can see the physical resistance and the ult resistance are blinking on the enemy Milim. That means they're about to leave the next turn, in case you didn't know that. And now we get a really bad hand. Like a really bad hand. We can still make it work, though, surprisingly, because we have so many orb changers on the team. Or we could just burn them out. Like, we could have made something out of that. But I wasn't really too fussed about it. So we just sent the orbs, and we're going to deal with it. And we get an even better hand. Sure. Convert that. Alright, and then we can bring Geld in, and he's going to take one of those orbs. He's going to take one of the blues, so now we can use his own orb change those, and then we could use the Isis convert now, because we have a lot of points. We're going to make back a lot of these points, or all of them, so I'm not really worried about using skills that are expensive right now, because we're going to make it all back. And again, this is not a team that has like 6 80-point skills. It's got, what, 3 55-point skills? We don't need 375 points to nuke. It's nice that we have it, but we're not going to need it when the time comes. But on turn 7, you can see that even the crit resistance on Milim is now gone. So we could freely crit her at this point, and we could pierce her, we could synergy, we could do anything we want as damage is concerned. So that's why we have so many different teams to show, is because it allows us to use so many different damage options. So, let's go ahead and bring everybody in. Are we going to buff, buff, buff? Alright, cool. 1, 2, 3. And then we can use the Milim convert after we've reset everything with Veldora. So even if this doesn't kill, we're still going to make back all the points we just spent. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 390k. And then we get her down quite low. And then she's going to heal. But she only heals 30%. And now we have 2 ults. And because we've reset everything, we got all the points back, so we're just going to do it again. And the damage that we did last time, we're going to do the same amount of damage. But this time we have an extra ult as well. So we'll use Veldora, we'll reset. We can use the orb changes to give us a full hand of greens, so we can get the full 200% boost on the orb. And I don't think we really actually need that. So let's go ahead and continue to get buffs, acting like we are going to continue the fight. 176 and 410. So there we go. There is a budget team that can still clear EX2 with only one EX unit, who wasn't even the nuking character. And honestly, you probably don't need to bring Shuna. If you want to bring someone else that's going to buff Space Milim, be my guest. It doesn't have to be an EX character at all. We barely used her alt swap anyways. Speaking of, you don't have to bring EX units, we're going to do almost the same thing. Again, Dark Veldora. We've got Isis, we've got Dark Milim, but now we're using the actual, like, first anniversary team. The team that came out 2 years ago, and we're using that to clear EX2. Rimuru is going to give guaranteed crits and crit damage to Dark allies, which we have mostly Dark characters. Isis and Aaron are here for orb changing. Milim is again here to orb change and buff. And then Dark Shinsha is a secondary single target Dark nuker and has a Dark buff that gets better on turn 8. And so this is going to run pretty much the same way that other team that we just showed off with Space Milim does. It's just we don't have a space character. And I'm about to show you that it doesn't matter. We don't even have an EX unit on this team to do anything. Like, these are all 2 free-to-play characters and 3 battle units and a protector that came out literally 2 years ago, almost to the day. So if this team can do it, a lot of teams can do it. And you can make substitutions. Like, if you have the new Raphael, you have the new Diablo, you could put them on this team and they'll help you do a butt ton more damage. Like, you gotta have to use your noggin a little bit. You don't have to use the specific teams that I show, because you might not have the specific units that I have. But if you have better options of what I'm showing you, this is at least a bare bones level of what you can attempt to use, and then you can build upon that, and you can learn the game, learn what units go well together, and this is why I make these videos. I don't show every single friggin' unit in the game because there's like 200 or something. You gotta learn to think for yourself. So, using a bare bones 2-year-old team should be a good opportunity for you to test and figure out what does and doesn't work for you. So, I don't think we need to sit here for 7 turns to watch me stack and do this, so we're just gonna make a cut, and we're gonna go jump ahead. And we're jumping ahead to turn 8, when we're pretty much ready to nuke. We have alts for Shinsha, we have alt for Rimuru, and we have an alt for Milim. And those are our 3 primary buffing characters. So we can bring Erin in, use her convert. You can see that we have a butt ton of points still, so we don't need to do anything else. And then 1 buff, 2 buff, 3 buff. And then we're going to send all 3, plus the Fallout Orbs, plus the magic attack buff from Protector Veldora, and 1 more stack of the crit resistance down debuff that's giving us extra points, and 35% crit resistance. It's like 5% every single time you use Shinsha. So Rimuru does 201, okay. Shinsha, 375, and Milim, 456. And that is a 2-year-old team right there, with 2 free-to-play characters on it. You should be able to make something along that lines, and you should be able to clear EX2. Let's move on. In the event you're really, really down in the dumps, and you don't even have Dark Veldora, you can use the free-to-play Protector of Peace Frey that came out a few months ago. If you don't have her, you can get her in the flashback shop, and she is a free-to-play green stacking reset protector. She has a lot of value. It makes her really good. She doesn't stack nearly as efficiently as like the summonable units, but she's free, so you can't expect her to. But she can get the job done, eventually, slowly. We've brought Isis, we've brought free-to-play Trya as the Goddess of Green Orb Changing, again brought Protector of Peace Geld to give us the skill points, we brought Space Milim as a secondary nuker, and we brought Space Jean from the 2nd anniversary as our primetime EX nuker. If you don't have Jean, I mean, you could certainly bring someone else to nuke. You could try and rely on Space Milim and a different support unit, maybe like a Space Shinsha or something, like that would work. It would still take a while, but this team can get the job done. The problem with this team is that because we have mostly free units, it's going to take a hot minute. We only stack like 5% with every Frey usage. She only gives us 20 SP cap increase, so it takes a long time to build up to a reasonable amount of SP that we could use a butt ton of skills. We're going to have the ability to get a lot of skill points back very quickly. It's just that we can't store a lot of them initially. Like we're going to be at like 150 and then 170, and this is not as much as going up by 50 points every turn like the premium summonable units. But if you need a stacking protector and you don't have the new Omizia, you don't have Overlord Rimuru, you don't have Dark Veldora, then this is your next best option, and she is free to play, and you can get the job done. You just have to have a little bit of patience. So we'll use Frey, we'll reset Isis back down, which allows us to use her orb change, and then we can send 6 greens, and at this point I think you know what the deal is, so I'm not going to make you sit through this. Just know that free-to-play Protector Frey is good enough to run and clear EX2, as long as you have a decent supporting cast of battle units that can orb change and do an okay amount of damage. Like Jean, she's going to give herself 170% EX or alt damage because she's got her 100%, and then she's got an extra 70 or 50, I can't remember, maybe 50, on Primal Demon EX alts, which she is a Primal Demon. Not going to do it right now, though, because Milim has the alt resistance up. But we're definitely going to get rid of it, because I don't have an alt swapper on this team. And I definitely want to be sending full hands of greens, or attempt to send full hands of greens. So, let's just go ahead and skip ahead a little bit to turn 8. And we still haven't done an incredible amount of damage to her. We're still building up, because our attack stacks are just super, super slow. We do have an alt in the back for Jean, though, and that's what we're holding on to, because we're trying to lower her HP down just enough to where we can comfortably two-shot, one with Jean and one with Space Milim, when they have their full buffs. So Jean will have her 150% and the space attack buff, and then Milim will have a 100% alt buff and the space attack and the magic buff as well, because she's skill fused. If she's not skill fused, then you just won't have the magic buff, which is fine. You'll do a little bit less damage, but at this point, we should be able to take Milim out. We're gonna hold on to this turn right here. Oh, we don't have anything going on. Okay. Well, I thought we had both alts in the back. I was wrong. Okay, well, orb change, boom, and we'll bring Jean in for Isis. Yeah, and then we're just gonna send this. Okay, so we'll get ults next turn for Jean by sending like one orb. Hopefully she doesn't heal here. Alright, good. We are not quite at the threshold for her to heal. Also means that... okay, we're just going to do it. Are we nuking here without Jean's ult? Ooh, interesting. I don't remember how I recorded this video. 248 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ooh. Oh, she didn't heal. Oh, wow. Shocking. Why didn't she heal there? Okay, well, there we go. We'll just nuke again. Now we have the Jean ult and 114k. Okay, well, there we go. Odd that she didn't heal right there. Maybe she only heals once. Maybe she already healed and we kind of disturbed it or something. I don't know. But there's a free-to-play protector with 3 free-to-play battle units, an EX character, and Space Milim, who came out for the original half anniversary in 2022. Frey being a free-to-play stacking green is a great thing for the game, and a great thing that players can pick up right now in the Flashback shop. Oh hey look, Exalted Champions. The 2.5 anniversary team, 6 months ago. It's a good team. It's meant for burst damage, but it still does a lot of damage. We do have a space character here in Guy, but he's AoE. Not a super big deal. We can use Veldora to orb change turn 1, as long as they're Exalted Champion orbs, right? So let's do that. Boom, full hand of green. Alright. We didn't even bring Violet this time. We brought Rain, under the assumption that maybe you don't have Violet. It'd be unfortunate if you don't, and if you do, then bring her instead, because she's a lot better than Rain. But this is trying to nerf the team down just a little bit. But we've got 115 points. We've got Velzard, who's going to convert all our orbs to greens. We have Veldora, who's going to give us the green buff. And now we can use Guy to alt rush us and put some synergy resistance down on Milim. So, after we do this, we're looking pretty good on gauge. Exalted Champion Rimuru is able to alt swap away if we need to use it. I actually don't remember if we do or not. But we're doing decent damage here. And now we have an EX ult for Milim. We almost have an EX ult for Guy. We have 180 points, so we could just do it again. Okay, are we going to Rainbow? I'm thinking about it. Nope, we're going to buff. So we're going to give Guy the EX ult. We're going to use his synergy buff and the attack buff from Rimuru. And then we're going to simply just send them both away. And we don't even have to use the Rainbow Orb change. But before we send Milim away, when we brought Rain in, we used her magic buff, because her buff gets worse after turn 3, and I want Milim to be the single target damage dealer, so we're going to give her the full 40% buff. After turn 3 it becomes 20%, so it cuts itself in half, essentially. But now we use the Rainbow Orbs. We'll use Velzard to give us a full hand of greens, plus the 2 rainbows. And let's use the green buff from Rain instead, because Veldora's is worn off now. And we'll be ready to nuke next turn with an EX ult for both Guy and Milim and Rimuru and Rain, technically, if you really wanted to, even though Rain's type disadvantage. Doesn't really matter. So, oh, we're going to send it anyways. Oh, we're not going to nuke on turn 5. Well, that's because we have the ult resistance up still. That's probably why. I need to start thinking before I talk, huh? Okay, now we're ready to go. So now we have a Rimuru EX ult, a Milim EX ult, and a Guy EX ult. Perfect. We'll bring Guy in first. We'll give the magic buff to him, which is now only 20%. And then we can send her away for Milim. We can use her personal buff. We can redo the synergy buff so we can give it to Rimuru as well. And then for funsies onesies, we'll use the Milim gimmick because we're not going to kill here. Wrong. Rimuru does 160. Guy does 386. And Milim, type neutral, does almost 1,000,000 damage right there. So we're looking pretty good. Even though this is a burst team, if you just wait it out a little bit and don't hit full power when Milim has that ult resistance up, you're gonna be fine. Okay, we're cutting this video off early because I realized that there are just way too many teams. I was gonna put another one in here. It's too long. We're gonna make 4 videos out of this series. So this is obviously part 1. 3 more videos coming. If these teams don't do it for you, then stay tuned for the next fucking 3 days of videos of me clearing EX2. If you did find something that worked for you in this video, please let me know. And if you have anything else that you found that works that, you know, are other kind of wonky team combinations, please put them in the comments so other people can see that and try and test them out. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.